welcome to another day of our 30-day hair challenge. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad you could join us. Today we're going to speak on the hair cycle phase and the three phases of the hair growth cycle that occurs and what happens during each cycle. So there's different things going on. They're multitasking. So the growth cycle of the hair is multitasking. Each phase is doing something totally different than the other. So we're going to start out with speaking on the anagen phase. And that anagen phase is when you're in the phase of active hair growing. So there's active growth going on. And that phase is where it's producing new hair cells, and it can last anywhere between 2 years all the way to 6 years. That's right, you can have hair growth continuously flourishing, all that good stuff for a period of 2 years to 6 years. And in between those phases, as I stated, you have different things that occur. So the anagen phase is where it's actively growing, is producing new hair cells, and anywhere between 2 to 6 years is normally where that phase is. The next phase is the catagen phase. The catagen phase, and in the catagen phase, this is where the hair stops to growing. So in the catagen phase, hair is not growing. It's starting to disconnect and separate from the hair follicles, as we talked about in our 30-day challenge a couple days back, of how the hair follicles, what happens during the phase when your hair is falling out. Those hair cells come and attack the healthy hair follicles. And when this happens, the hair follicles go in defense mode. They shut down, protect, and cover those hair follicles, cutting off all circulation and blood flow. So there is no hair growth here in this stage, because they're trying to protect the hair follicles that are left and not have them damaged by the hair cells that have came in and attacked those hair follicles. So in this phase, the hair stops growing in the catagen phase, and it separates completely from those hair follicles. And when that happens, you start to seeing some shedding, not a whole lot, but just a little bit. That's where it's slowly detaching from the hair follicles. And when when the cells start to detaching, what happens with that, when those hairs start to detaching, they fall out. So that phase normally lasts anywhere between 2 weeks to 4 weeks, which is good. But you can have a lot of damage that may happen within that time frame. So within those 2 to 4 weeks, that is the cycle of the catagen phase. And the catagen phase is known as the stage where the hair stops to growing completely and separates completely from those hair follicles. And then you have the telogen phase. You have the telogen phase, and that phase lasts anywhere between 3 to 5 months. That's right, 3 to 5 months. And this is where those hair follicles take a rest. They've been working in overtime and then trying to gain and not lose all of the hair. So they're just in overdraft mode. They're trying not to lose all of the hair and just lose the minimum amount of shedding, which is normal for hair. So they're in overdrive. So they're working hard. And then when the telogen phase comes in, which is the third phase, all of that hair that is dead, that separated from the hair follicles, whether it was heat damage, just different things that cause that hair over hair shedding. If you got just the regular amount of hair shedding, then that dead hair has to fall off anyway. But if you have damaged hair, that damaged hair is going to fall off with that dead hair as well, because all of it is considered dead. So the dead hair begins to shed, and then the follicles rest. So in that resting stage, that's when the hair follicles and the hair cycle begins to prepare for the new cycle, and it just keeps repeating itself through the 3 phases. You'll go through the active growth stage, the stop growth stage, and then the resting stage of the follicles, and then repeat it all over again. So the hair cycle is just a repeated cycle going through the 3 phases of the hair growth: anagen, catagen, telophase. So that's the active growth stage, the part where the stage of the hair stops growing, and then where the follicles rest. So in the telogen phase, as I stated, hair follicles, they're taking a break. They're taking a break and they're resting for anywhere between 3 to 5 months, as I stated. Sometimes it just depends on the person. It can take a rest for 2 months. Might be, hey, depending on what's going on with your hair, the healthy state of your hair, it can just be in rest mode for 2 months versus 3 months, because it didn't have to work as hard as it did with the growth process starting back after those follicles rested. So you'll have those that time in between with the rest, anywhere between 3 to 5 months. As I stated, it can be 2 months depending on how your hair health is. And when that cycle happens during the time that the hair follicles is resting, that's when the hair starts to really doing its shedding phase. During the stop growth phase, which is the catagen phase, it starts, so you may see a little bit here and a little bit there, but the continuous shedding until all of that dead hair is just gone and done with, that happens during the last phase, which is the telogen phase. It happens while the hair follicles are at rest, because they're resting and getting prepared for the next cycle that is coming around. It's getting prepared for the next hair cycle. So in this stage, normally, when you see normal shedding is anywhere between 50 strands of hair to 100 strands of hair. And this is on a daily basis until that hair shedding cycle is done with. And not the whole entire time will your hair be shedding during that last phase when the follicles are resting, whether it's the early 2 months or whether it's that normal average 3 to 5 months. Your hair is not shedding that whole entire time. You just have like a few weeks in between, in that same little cycle where your hair may shed. Anywhere between 2 to 3 weeks, the hair does that normal shedding phase. You'll see a strand here and there whenever you're doing your hair or brushing your hair or something of that sort. That is not what we're talking about as far as the telogen phase in your shedding phase. The shedding phase, you'll see a little bit more in the comb, and you'll know that it's that dead hair that's shedding. You pretty much know when your hair is healthy and when it's damaged. Your hair will let you know. If it's healthy, you know it is vibrant, it's not brittle and really, really dry and trying to break. It has that moisture, that bounce to it, healthy. So you normally in that phase, you will see around 50, possibly 100 strands of hair. Can we sit there and count the hair strands? No, we can't. So that'll be a small ball of hair. It won't be a whole lot. So you see that shedding phase going on while the hair follicles is resting. So you can kind of like put and get your imagination going, and that'll kind of stick with you. Okay, yeah, it's active growth stage. When the active growth stage happens, they are producing those new cells. Then the catagen phase, it's gonna stop growing. And the telogen phase, hey, those hair follicles are at rest. So after that, as I stated, a whole entire repeated cycle is going on. So even during this hair growth cycle, you still need to eat healthy, because as I often stress what goes in the body for your body health is just as important for your hair health. So during that 3 phase, or the 3 different phases of the hair cycle, you want to still eat healthy foods, and we're going to get into healthy foods and vitamins and a lot of that stuff that helps the hair to grow. So we will get into that as well. So what happens after that hair cycle? After the whole entire hair cycle, we go through the 3 phases. Sometimes during that time of the 3 phases, when you get to the last one, sometimes the hair follicles, it could be disrupted because you have hair damage that's already going on, whether it's heat, um, chemicals, you're over processing the hair, any kind of damage done to the hair, heat, chemicals, etc. This can disrupt the flow of your actual growth cycle. So when this happens, as I was stating, just like the follicles will take a rest for the hair to shed, then you will have the same process to happen where instead of your hair shedding the normal average amount that it needs to shed, the hair follicles, the hair cells, they're alerted, and it's like, oh, we got damaged hair. So this damaged hair needs to be pushed out with the dead hair. So that's when you'll start to see excessive amounts of shedding. You'll see those excessive amounts of shedding because signals are sent to the hair follicles and the hair cells saying, hey, we got damaged hair over here. This is dead hair. Oh no, well, this is dead hair right here. This is what we need to shed and get ready for the new process of hair. Because if that old hair is not shedded, then the new hair that needs to come in won't be able to come in like it needs to. So it needs to push everything out. So when you have an excessive amount of hair breakage and hair coming out, then yes, my hair is damaged somewhere. And sometimes the hair can be damaged and you not even realize or know that it's damaged because it's not extremely damaged or badly damaged. You may have mild damage to it, but sometimes the hair is damaged and we have no idea of knowing. So if you got excessive amounts, like 2-3 balls, or you're washing your hair and you just see all this hair coming out in the sink, you're like, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on? Yes, the hair follicles and the hair cells have been alerted. We have some damaged hair over here. So when we push out this dead hair from the first 2 phases that was going on, we need to push that out as well so we can start to trying to grow healthy hair and get into that phase of growing healthy hair. So when you start to growing your healthy hair, you're eating healthy, you're washing your hair as needed, not overwashing, because when you overwash, you're stripping all of the moisture out of your hair, and the hair needs to contain moisture in order for it to grow properly and healthily. So I'll give you a few fruits that you can eat that are really, really healthy for the hair. Watermelon. I don't know how many people like watermelon. Watermelon is healthy. Pineapples, they're healthy as well. Also, green veggies. Green veggies are your best friend. Me, myself, I love greens. I love cabbage. I love broccoli too. String beans, I love them all. So I even eat Brussels sprouts. So I won't even have a problem with getting that green veggie intake. So all your green veggies, your pineapples, and your watermelon. And the vitamin for the day that I'm going to give you is vitamin B. Vitamin B is very vital for the hair. Vitamin B is good. So you can get a vitamin B complex because they have the vitamin B complex, and that vitamin B complex has all of the B vitamins in it. So vitamin B is really good for hair growth as well. So that concludes what we're going to talk about today. And tomorrow we'll bring you with more in our 30-day hair challenge. And continue to stay tuned and keep coming on back, joining us, guys, because we will have some of those stories that we were telling you about of people and their struggles with hair and hair loss and how they got on the road to maintaining healthy hair, and how Timonique Collection was able to assist them in their journey and still traveling with them on their journey. So you guys have an awesome and amazing day. Remember, it's always to make it count. We love you guys. See you soon.